Oh, another tip before we go on. Do your evaluation in a separate paragraph to your main point. Okay? If you do it in the same paragraph as your analysis, there's a real danger that you'll only do, say, one line of evaluation at the end, because it will still look like quite a meaty paragraph, because you've got all your analysis there. And it sort of encourages you to try and get away with one line of evaluation. That's not going to take you to the top of the tree on marks. I suggest you do your evaluation of a point in the next paragraph. Probably leave a line, then start a new paragraph where you're going to do all of your evaluation of a point. And your evaluative paragraph, hopefully, will be roughly as long as your paragraph of analysis that has preceded it. Okay. So, very commonly in evaluating this sort of policy that we're using to answer the question, students will say, however, a unit tax may be ineffective because alcohol demand is likely to be inelastic. Okay, that's a good starting point. That is evaluation. But really what you're doing is just raising a bit of a quibble. You're saying, oh, this might not work. Okay. We need to take it further if we're going to support judgments. Like we said, economic theory is one way of supporting your judgment. Okay, so you could say, yeah, I think demand for alcohol is going to be inelastic because alcohol is habitual and it's got addictive properties. Probably going to mean that if we put the price up through taxation, people are still going to drink it. Okay, so demand may be inelastic. That's better. Okay, so you're beginning to point towards a judgment that questions the effectiveness of a policy. But look what we can now do using the segments of data that we've lifted from the extract. Okay, well, one thing the extract told us is that alcohol taxes raise huge amounts of revenue for the government. Okay, so let's put that into the mix. Demand may be inelastic, and actually one sign of that is that when we tax it, people still carry on drinking, and hence, rather than discouraging alcohol consumption, it raises huge amounts of revenue. Okay, so we've got that. But the data extract also had some information from Scotland, where they put the price of alcohol up not through taxes, but through using a minimum price. And the data actually told us that when the minimum price was introduced, alcohol consumption fell in Scotland by 8%, to its lowest level since 1994. Okay. Well, perhaps alcohol consumption isn't quite as inelastic as theory suggested it would be. That minimum price seems to have had an impact. The extract then turned it round a bit and said, yeah, but the average adult in Scotland still consumes 19 units a week, which is more than recommended. So the policy has had some sort of impact, but maybe not as much as we want to. Okay. This student has gone on to a higher plane entirely by making such good use of the numbers that they've lifted from the extracts. They can seal the deal now by reaching a judgment at the end of the evaluative paragraph. Okay. Sort of judgments that data points towards. Actually, look at Scotland's experience. We think actually raising the price of alcohol could be reasonably effective. We've seen the data tells us it's effective in raising revenue. Perhaps we could suggest that the government might ring-fence some of that revenue to put into programs to reduce sort of dependence on alcohol. Okay. Really sophisticated point is that we're using evidence from Scotland where they've used a minimum price. Perhaps Scotland have got it wrong because the minimum price isn't going to raise revenue for the government in the way that taxation would. So we can sort of evaluate by comparing those two policies. Okay. Overall, that data that we've listed is supporting a judgment that actually we can give some tentative support to unit taxation as a policy to reduce alcohol consumption. It does seem to have the potential that higher unit taxes could reduce negative externalities in consumption. Okay. Make sure you reach that judgment at the end of your evaluative paragraph. So I call it a mini judgment. And by the end of the essay, hopefully you'll have 2 or 3 mini judgments which you're going to build into your conclusion at the end of the essay.